I made a few of these badge videos this year, and the last one I uploaded was about 3 months ago, but you guys still always comment on my videos. Quil, you should use this badge. Quil, why don't you have this badge on? Quil, what does this badge do? This is gonna be the last time I go over the badges in 2K20, and I'm gonna do it a little different this time. I'll be ranking every badge by its tier and why you should or should not use the badge. If you guys want to know a certain badge category, make sure to check out the comments because I will leave in there the timestamp when I go through every single badge in the game. I don't want to waste any more time. Do me a favor, drop a like on the video if you do enjoy or it helps you out, because just dropping a like helps me out a ton. Make sure you subscribe to the channel with post notifications on so you never miss an upload, and let's get right into the video. It's Quil, and I'm coming back at you with a new video, and you see we're in the park. Let's not waste any time. Let me show you the badges. I'm gonna start off with shooting badges, then get into playmaking, then go into finishing, and last but not least, get into defensive. Like I said, if you want to know the timestamp, check out the comments, but let's get into the first and most important category, the shooting badges. Now, I really shouldn't have to spend that much time on it, because I've gone through this so many times this year, but these 5 shooting badges are the most important and the 5 you should have on at all times. Now, quick draw, I shouldn't really have to get into it, but you want to have the quickest jump shot possible. If you can get Hall of Fame quick draw, you should use it. Range extender, same thing. You must use range extender on whatever it can be maxed out, because one thing that not everybody realizes about this badge is that it doesn't only affect 3-pointers. This helps you shoot deeper mids. Just, guys, range extender just impacts more than just 3-pointers. Trust me. Now, out of these 3, the next important I would say is Hot Zone Hunter, and especially for low 3-point builds, Hot Zone Hunter is super important. You guys see the hot zones on my playmaking shot creator. All I do is shoot 3s on this build, and I have hot zones on every single spot around the 3-point line. So you guys are gonna see I have a 93 3-point shot, but with Hall of Fame Hot Zone Hunter, it probably raises it to about a 98. I would say Hot Zone Hunter increases your shooting by +5. Next, surprisingly, I would say Deadeye is more important than Green Machine. Because the thing is, if you have a high 3-pointer like this build, I'm not gonna say there's no need for Green Machine because it's still a great badge. But if you're wide open, you're gonna shoot a green anyway. Green Machine doesn't really make that big of a difference. But Hall of Fame Deadeye makes a very big difference. This badge is great for all shooting builds, especially the ones with the high 3-pointer like this, and you finish it off with Green Machine. We all know what it does. You shoot 2 greens, next thing you know, every shot after that just feels so smooth. These are the tier 1 shooting badges. Let me show you the tier 2. Now for tier 2, you see what I put on. Catch and shoot, corner specialist, difficult shots, hot start, tireless shooter, and volume shooter. Now, tireless shooter, you guys know what it does. You run out of stamina, it just make you shoot more consistently. Volume shooter, the more shots you attempt, the higher your 3-point or your just jump shot rating will go. Difficult shots, we all know what this badge does. It's been in every single 2K. How consistent it makes you shoot off the dribble. Catch and shoot, really good, obviously, just for catch and shoots. But corner specialist is one of the badges in tier 2 that I wanted to focus on. And that's because this badge right here doesn't only affect you shooting in the corner, but it affects you shooting in front of the corner too. You guys might not know this, but if you combine corner specialist and difficult shots, taking those deep mid-range fades in front of the corner actually is easier with these 2 badges. So if you fade a lot, I would recommend putting those on. And then hot start is actually a really slept on shooting badge this year. If you shoot really consistently, it's good, but the only problem with it, if you miss 1 shot, say goodbye, the badge is completely useless. Now tier 3, I will put these 4 shooting badges. I don't really want to go through them because I wouldn't recommend using them, but yeah, these are the tier 3 shooting badges. And then lastly, tier 4, aka never use these badges. Do not ever throw on these 4 badges. Ice and Veins, Pump Fake Maestro, it's not that they're bad, they just don't do anything. But Flexible Release, Steady Shooter, never use those badges. It's completely useless. Let's get into the playmaking badges. So for playmaking, there are 6 badges that are tier 1. Bailout, super important. You just don't throw turnovers when you pass out of stuff. Dimer and floor general, they kind of go hand in hand. If you are to only run one of these, I would recommend floor general over dimer, but if you're ISOing, I would definitely recommend using both. Handles for days, quick first step, and unpluckable. I shouldn't really have to talk about these. They've been the best playmaking badges all year. If you only get 9 playmaking badge upgrades, I would recommend these 3 be your first 3 badges. They're just really, really good. We all know quick first step makes you speed boost faster, handles for days make you dribble longer, and unpluckable makes it so you do not get ripped as much. This right here is your tier 1 playmaking badges. Now for tier 2, once again, I will put about 6 badges in this category. Ankle breaker, for some reason, I don't feel like it works that much. It does work a little bit. It's not like the badge is completely useless, but once again, you gotta spam snatchbacks to even activate it. Flashy passer, we all know what this badge does. It literally will raise your takeover by, I don't know, half of the bar. It's crazy. Lob City passer, mainly for inside center when you play with inside centers, but also good if you're playing 3s pro-am. We all know Lob City passer. It's a pretty good badge. Space creator, I was debating whether to put this in tier 1, but the way that I play, there's really no reason for it. Not a lot of people really spam hop steps or hop backs like that, so you don't really activate space creator. Needle threader is a badge that not a lot of people use, but I like to use on bronze. It just makes it so you pass a little bit faster and it's harder for the opponent to steal it. And then lastly, tight handles. Probably a top 2, maybe top 3 playmaking badge in the game when the behind the back was out. But now that there's no behind the back, it doesn't activate on really any move, and it's just useless. There's really no need for it, but it's not a horrible badge. I heard it still activates on the behind the back, but I barely do it since the fast one isn't in the game. This is your tier 2 playmaking badges. Now, unlike shooting, there isn't any tier 4 or badges that I would say you should never ever use on your playmaking. Break starter, downhill, dream shake, pass fake maestro, post spin technician, and stop and go all do something for you. Unlike the shooting badges that I showed that actually make you play worse, these badges can help you out, but once again, I would recommend not using these badges and using all the other badges that I showed you, especially the ones in tier 1. But now, let's get into the finishing badges. So for the finishing badges, these are the core 4, the tier 1 finishing badges that you should have on no matter what. I've been rocking these the entire year. Obviously contact finisher so you can get contact dunks, make more contact layups. Fancy footwork and slithery finisher kind of go hand in hand. Just makes hop steps insanely overpowered. You guys know how hop steps are this year. And then last but not least, Giant Slayer, especially if you're a point guard. This badge will activate 99% of the time when you do go up on somebody. So Giant Slayer, Contact Finisher, Fancy Footwork, and Slithery Finisher are your tier 1 finishing badges. Once again, this is for mainly point guards, okay? If you run a point guard, not interior finisher, not center, for point guards, this is tier 2. Acrobat, it'll just make, when you go for weird layups, it'll just make them go in more. Consistent finisher, helping you when you do mistime a layup, it'll make it go in more. Relentless finisher, so you do not get your stamina drained as much whenever you do finish with contact. And then we all know what Lob City finisher does, just helps you catch lobs, especially at the end of the shot clock when you need to. This is what I would say is your tier 2 finishing badges. And lastly, tier 3, this is what I would put. Cross key scorer, pro touch, teardropper, and showtime. Once again, you're probably never going to use these badges unless you are a legend with like 35 potential finishing upgrades. You don't use any of these badges. You use the tier 1 and maybe the tier 2. But these badges aren't bad. I can't tell you what cross key scorer is. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I have no idea what this badge does. Pro touch is in the middle of tier 2 and tier 3. When you release it, when you get good release on a layup, it makes it go in more. Teardropper is good, but the only problem is floaters are horrible this year. And then lastly, showtime, whenever you get a contact dunk, a really flashy dunk, it'll just make your whole team's takeover go up faster. Not horrible, but at the same time, it doesn't really affect you that much. And lastly, for your tier 4 finishing badges, this is what I would put. To be honest, these aren't even bad finishing badges. These finishing badges are just for centers, and like I said, this tutorial or little badge thing is for point guards. Like I said, these badges are not bad, they're just not for point guards. So if you're a center, these are fine, but once again, there's no reason to use them on a point guard. Last but not least, let's get into what I feel like is probably the second most important, the defensive badges. Now for defensive badges, there is a lot in tier 1, okay? You guys see, there's about 7 of them. Clamps, we all know the most important defensive badge in the game, especially as a point guard. You just need clamps. Chase down artists, this is a badge that I actually didn't really use that much this year, but after watching other people use it and seeing the chase downs you can get, definitely earns its spot in tier 1. Intimidator, pick dodger, pickpocket. I don't really have to go through these. You guys know how broken these badges are. Well, not really broken, just how strong they are. Rim protector is actually really good on a point guard. I was thinking about putting this in tier 2, but with how much people just like to paint mash, hop step, force themselves in the paint, it's really good. Same thing with pogo stick. You can just spam Y. Just another really good defensive badge. There's no reason not to use these badges if you have enough badge points. Like I said, there's a lot in tier 1, so you might not be able to fit all these, but if you can, this is the tier 1 defensive badges. So for tier 2 defensive badges, once again for a point guard, there's really not that much. I went with rebound chaser, interceptor, tireless defender, and trapper. You guys know if you ever need to get a rebound chaser just gives you crazy animations. Interceptor was a badge that I was leaning on putting onto tier 1, but I really don't notice that big of a difference with this badge. I have Hall of Fame Interceptor a lot of the time. People will throw it right at my face, and 2K still won't give me the steal. That's why it goes in tier 2. Tireless Defender, not the best badge, but just makes so you lose energy slower on defense. And then Trapper, a really underrated badge. You hold LB and your center holds LB, and you both have Hall of Fame Trapper on, you'll get the ball every time. It's really underrated. Not a lot of people use it, but once again, I can really see why. Alright, so tier 3, you see I have 7 badges again. Box, Heart Crusher, Off-Ball Pest, Defensive Leader, Moving Truck, Post-Move Lockdown, and Worm. I don't really have to talk about box that much, it makes you box out. Heart Crusher, not that great. I wouldn't really recommend using it, but if you have the badge points, there's no reason not to. Off-Ball Pest, I actually heard makes it so you don't get ankle broke as much. I don't know if that's true, but that is what I heard. Defensive Leader just makes all your teammates' defensive stats go higher. Moving Truck and Post Move Lockdown, not really that great on a guard because you're not going against post scorers that do post moves, which is what these 2 badges are for. And then lastly, Worm just makes it so if you do get boxed out, you can break it. This is your tier 3 defensive badges. And then your tier 4 defensive badges that I would never ever use on a point guard is Brick Wall, because why would you ever set screens on a point guard? And then Lightning Reflexes, because it just does nothing. Do not use this badge. I know they hyped it up when 2K first came out. Don't use it, okay? Do not use these defensive badges. Alright, so that's it. That is my last breakdown of the badges in 2K20. If you guys did enjoy this video, do me a favor, leave a like, sub if you're new, and I'm out.